The Snake Island in the Black Sea is a small island whose strategic importance has become obvious with the Russian invasion on Ukraine. It is close to the Danube mouth, the place where the Danube flows into the Black Sea in Romania, close to the main shipping route coming from the Ukrainian ports into the Black Sea and into the world, and it is just a few miles away from the US military base in Kogalnicianu, Romania.
The Snake Island became, first of all, the symbol of resilience, the symbol of defense, and the symbol of the Ukrainian armed forces and people who are ready to defend even such a small piece of their territory. The events that continued and been for several months around the island with the attacks and counterattacks both from the Russian Federation and Ukraine raised even more questions about the role of the small island for the navigation, for security in the maritime domain, and about the capacities and capabilities that Ukrainian armed forces can have or what the Russian Federation may need.
The island is not inhabited and it cannot host permanent troops. That said, whoever controls the island can have access to the neighboring territories just by using surveillance equipment. Considering the surveillance equipment used, you can have access to about 300 square miles in the vicinity of the Snake Island. That effectively means that if Russia takes back control over the Snake Island, it could have access to NATO territory, northeastern Bulgaria and southeastern Romania. Now, we know that Russian strategy in the Black Sea is taking control over the north coast, taking the Ukrainian shore, and if that happens, the Snake Island is just going to be another objective for the Russian military to take. First, there is the risk of surveillance if Russia takes the island. Second, there is the risk of harassment if Russia comes into the proximity of the Snake Island. Obviously, we can imagine that Russia could decide to cut back at any time the shipping routes coming out of Ukraine through the Black Sea into the world. It has happened before during the first months of the war. Also important is the fact that in the vicinity of the Snake Island in the Romanian economic zone, there is an offshore energy reserve that Romania plans to develop so that it could supply Europe and in particular Eastern Europe, which is highly dependent on Russian gas right now, with energy from the Black Sea. Should this happen, Russia will not be very happy considering that Romania would become a competitor. NATO needs to secure any kind of infrastructure and project coming alive in the proximity of the Snake Island and make sure to deploy anti-ship missiles to defend the Romanian coast, which is the European coast and NATO coast at this moment.
We should consider Snake Island as the start of the Russian losses in the Black Sea. After this, we had not only Moscow and Crimea defeats, but we had the opening of some parts of the navigations. And that is the question, what will be the next Snake Island, the next symbolic element that will allow Ukrainian armed forces not just to defend, but also to go forward to liberate its territories.